सर, लगभग 60 बच्चे आ गए हैं। तो 11 टाइम हो गया है। अगर आपकी परमिशन हो तो मैं शुरू करूं सर।
ठीक है, स्टार्ट कीजिए मयंक जी।
जी, थैंक यू सर। निकिता।
Am I audible?
यस, यू आर ऑडिबल, प्लीज।
A world without wetlands is definitely a world without water. Good morning to everyone. I would like to start this event with Gayatri Mantra. Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha Tat Saviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्. Now we will initiate this event with our auspicious DAV Gan.
PGDAV सांध्य को आओ नमन करें। PGDAV सांध्य को आओ नमन करें। आओ नमन करें, आओ नमन करें, आओ नमन करें, आओ नमन करें। PGDAV सांध्य को आओ नमन करें। PGDAV सांझ को आओ नमन करें। संगम है यह परंपरा और अधुनातन शिक्षा का। परिसर है यह वेद और विज्ञान की संदीक्षा का। संगम है यह परंपरा और अधुनातन शिक्षा का। परिसर है यह वेद और विज्ञान की संदीक्षा का। ज्ञान की पावन गंगा से दोषों का दमन करें। PGDAV सांझ को आओ नमन 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 करें। यह अनुपम विचार भूमि है दयानंद स्वामी की। समाज के उन्नत मस्तक के प्रण अनुगामी की। यह अनुपम विचार भूमि है दयानंद स्वामी की। आर्य समाज के उन्नत मस्तक के प्रण अनुगामी की। त्याग समर्पण और मूल्य शुचिता का गमन करें। PGDAV सांझ को आओ नमन करें। गूंजे वेद रचाए नित नित इस सुरम्य उपवन में। यज्ञ निरंतर हो पवित्र वाणी हो इस आंगन में। गूंजे वेद रचाए नित नित इस सुरम्य उपवन में। यज्ञ निरंतर हो पवित्र वाणी हो इस आंगन में। पावन वन संविधा से अधर्म का मिलकर दमन करें। PGDAV सांझ को आओ नमन करें। PGDAV सांझ को आओ नमन करें। देता शुभ आशीष सभी को यह महाविद्यालय, प्रेम भरे संस्पर्श देव की यह पावन देवालय। देता शुभ आशीष सभी को यह महाविद्यालय, प्रेम भरे संस्पर्श देव की यह पावन देवालय। ऐसा है संकल्प सभी के दुखों का शमन करें। PGDAV सांझ को आओ नमन 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 करें।
A very warm morning to one and all present here. On behalf of Srishti, the Environment Society of PGDAV Evening College, I, Nikita Jha, extend a very warm welcome to one and all present here. Before we move ahead, I request you all to keep your mic and camera off, and for any query, chat box is open. You all can put your questions there. Other instruction is that, as we all know, a college organized Srijan and inter-college competition that was best out of waste. Results for the same will be announced in the end of webinar. So I request the participants to kindly be present till the end of this webinar. Respected our guest of honor for the day, Dr. Samir Kumar Sinha, sir, Head of Conservation, Wildlife Trust of India. Respected Principal, sir, Professor R.K. Gupta, sir, Dr. Sanjay Kumar, sir, Convener, IQAC, Dr. Krishna Shukla, ma'am, Coordinator, Vidya Vistar Scheme, Dr. Meeta Bhatnagar, ma'am, Nodal Officer of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, and Dr. Mayank Pandey, sir, Convener, Environment Committee. Srishti has been actively working on environmental issues for last many years. Being it online or offline mode, the society has always tried its level best to do something for environment. Conservation and awareness has always been prime thing to our society. Not only this, but Srishti also publishes its quarterly bilingual magazine Panch Tattva, and series of webinars are also being conducted on a regular basis. Now, I would like to welcome Dr. Mayank Pandey, sir, Convener, Environment Committee. Over to you, sir.
थैंक यू निकिता। PGDAV कॉलेज सांध की एनवायरमेंट सोसाइटी सृष्टि पूरी सक्रियता के साथ पर्यावरण संरक्षण एवं जागरूकता के लिए विभिन्न कार्यक्रम जैसे वेबिनार, प्रतियोगिताएं, वृक्षारोपण आदि कार्यक्रम सफलतापूर्वक आयोजित करती रही है। इसका पूरा श्रेय कॉलेज प्राचार्य प्रोफेसर R.K. गुप्ता सर एवं पर्यावरण समिति के सभी सम्मानित सदस्यों को जाता है, जिनके मार्गदर्शन एवं सहयोग से सृष्टि निरंतर नए आयामों को छू रही है। छात्र ही सृष्टि का आधार हैं और उनके प्रयास, मेहनत और लगन के बिना कुछ भी संभव नहीं है। सोसाइटी की त्रैमासिक मैगजीन पंचतत्व भी छात्रों के बीच में बहुत लोकप्रिय है। हाल ही में सृष्टि ने विहंग नामक बर्ड वॉचिंग क्लब का गठन किया है, जो पक्षियों की पहचान और उनके संरक्षण और जागरूकता के लिए कार्य करता है। आज आदरणीय प्रिंसिपल सर द्वारा इस क्लब का उद्घाटन किया जा रहा है। आज हम विश्व नमभूमि दिवस या वर्ल्ड वेटलैंड्स डे 2022 मना रहे हैं। रामसर कन्वेंशन की याद में पूरा विश्व प्रतिवर्ष 2 फरवरी को विश्व नमभूमि दिवस मनाता है। नमभूमि या वेटलैंड्स न सिर्फ पर्यावरण के लिए महत्वपूर्ण है, बल्कि हमारे पारंपरिक, आर्थिक, धार्मिक अनुष्ठानों और क्रियाकलापों के अभिन्न अंग भी हैं। आज़ादी के बाद बढ़ते नगरीकरण और सिकुड़ते ग्रामों के साथ तालाबों और सरोवरों की संख्या भी तेजी से कम होती गई। नमभूमि संरक्षण से हम निरंतर बढ़ते जल संकट का सफलतापूर्वक सामना कर सकते हैं। बिना नमभूमि के जैव विविधता संरक्षण संभव नहीं है। आज हमारे साथ विशिष्ट वक्ता के रूप में डॉक्टर समीर कुमार सिन्हा सर जुड़े हैं, जो हमें सारस पक्षी संरक्षण और नमभूमि के परस्पर संबंध के बारे में बताएंगे। मैं उनका हृदय से स्वागत करता हूँ। मैं आज वेबिनार से जुड़ने के लिए डॉक्टर संजय कुमार सर, कन्वीनर IQAC, डॉक्टर कृष्णा शुक्ला मैम, कोऑर्डिनेटर विद्या विस्तार स्कीम, और डॉक्टर मीता भटनागर मैम, नोडल ऑफिसर आज़ादी का अमृत महोत्सव सेल का आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ। साथ ही पर्यावरण समिति के सभी सम्मानित सदस्यों का भी आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ। इसके साथ ही मैं विद्या विस्तार स्कीम के अंतर्गत जुड़े हुए सभी सम्मानित सदस्यों का स्वागत करता हूँ। इसी के साथ ही कार्यक्रम को आगे बढ़ाते हुए मैं आदरणीय प्रिंसिपल सर से आग्रह करूंगा कि वे आशीर्वचन देकर हमारा मार्गदर्शन करें। सर।
Thank you, Dr. Mengji. The convener of Environment Society, Srishti of the college, Dr. Meng Pandeyji, my all esteemed colleagues of the college of different societies, all the students, and the key speaker of today's program, Dr. Samirji. First of all, I welcome you all to this webinar. It's a matter of really great pride and great pleasure and great delight too that the Environment Society of the college, Srishti, is diversifying itself into various folds, various aspects, various dimensions. This is very true the name of or the very nature of environment itself. We talk of the diversification of environment. We talk, there are different dimensions of the environment. In the same way, very true to its name, as I'm saying, the society itself is diversifying. And there are so many activities which are being undertaken by the society, be it the plantation, be it the awareness program, be it manure production, be it academic publications, research work, the e-magazine. In every field, the society is doing wonderfully many new activities. And I must congratulate the convener of the society, Dr. Mayank Pandey, under whose able and capable guidance this society is getting new milestones. And as just was told by Dr. Mayank Pandey, a new club, Vihang, is also being started now. It is in fact, I must say, a new feather in the cap of the society, and it's highly ambitious program, highly ambitious club. I feel honored and privileged in inaugurating this club. My best wishes to Vihang Club. Dear students, we all know to start a new activity is not a small thing. It's not merely a joke. It requires a lot of inputs of energy, time, efforts, involvement, participation in all the respects. And I know there is a great involvement and participation of all the students. With the zeal and commitment and devotion, they are working for this society. It is really commendable. It is really appreciable. And I must say, it is, of course, the guidance is of the teachers, of Dr. Mayank Pandey, but the inputs of the students cannot be ignored. It is highly appreciable. So I must congratulate all the students also for their wonderful achievement and for the wonderful work which they are doing and adding this new dimension to the society, which is Vihang Club. Sometimes I feel that Srishti, the Environment Society, is getting the shape of a Vat Vraksha. I feel you all know a Vat Vraksh. Vat Vraksh is in starting, when it grows, it is only one tree. But when it grows fully, it matures itself, then there are the roots which comes from the tree itself, from the leaves, from the branches itself. And when these roots, they touch the mud, they generate a new tree. So that way it becomes a cholesterol of various trees. So same way, I feel this Srishti is working. Multi-dimensional activities are taking place, and this is a matter of great pleasure and great pride for the college too. And I wish that in future also it will be organizing so many activities which are for the benefit of the students and to create awareness among the students too. Today is the occasion of Wetland Day. On this day, I congratulate all the students and all the audience also. And I feel you must understand the significance of this particular day. Why the paucity of water is taking place. You must have heard many a times people say that the Third World War will be on water, because gradually water is becoming a scarce commodity. And this is something which is highly alarming, and because water is needed for everyone, not only for human beings, for other beings also. So we must, by the time it becomes highly dangerous, we must be awakened and take all the measures so that this scarce, this very essential commodity does not become scarce in reality. So whatever measures and whatever initiatives are required, we must take. With these few words, I once again congratulate Srishti, the society, all the students who are associated with it, and all my teacher colleagues who are the members of the society, and especially the convener of the society, Dr. Mayank Pandey. I once again congratulate and welcome the key speaker of today's program, Dr. Samir too. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for your kind words. Sir, we have prepared a small clip regarding Vihang Club. So with your kind permission, can we play this?
Okay, please play it.
Thank you, sir.
प्रकृति अथवा पर्यावरण विभिन्न जैविक तथा अजैविक घटकों से मिलकर बना है। इन घटकों के बीच अद्भुत समन्वय से सृष्टि में जीवन की निरंतरता एवं विविधता बनी रहती है। दर्शकों, क्या आपको पता है विहंग क्या होता है? नहीं? चलिए एक साथ जानते हैं। विहंग अर्थात परिंदे अथवा पक्षी हमारे पर्यावरण के अभिन्न घटक हैं। हमारे प्राचीन ग्रंथों, धार्मिक तथा दंत लोक कथाओं में पक्षियों के अनेकानेक विवरण मिलते हैं। वेद पुराणों में मोर, गरुड़, नीलकंठ, हंस आदि, रामायण के जटायु संपाति, देवी देवताओं के वाहन, दंत कथाओं में संदेश वाहक तथा प्रेम के प्रतिमूर्ति आदि रूपों के माध्यम से भारतीय वाङ्मय में इन्हें समुचित स्थान मिला है। इनकी सुंदरता और इनका चहचहाना सबका मन मोह लेता है। जरा सोचिए कितना नीरस होता हमारा जीवन अगर हमारी सुबह इन चिड़ियों की चहचहाहट के बिना होती। हम सौभाग्यशाली हैं कि हमारा जन्म इस भारतवर्ष में हुआ, जहाँ प्रचुर जैव विविधता तथा प्राकृतिक सुंदरता सर्वसुलभ है। परंतु मानव जनित क्रियाकलापों ने प्रकृति और प्राकृतिक संसाधनों पर अत्यंत ही विपरीत प्रभाव डाला है। धरती की जैव विविधता तेजी से नष्ट हो रही है। विगत 2 शताब्दियों में हमने अनेक प्रजातियां खो दी और आज असंख्य संकटग्रस्त प्रजातियां विलुप्ति की कगार पर हैं। प्राकृतिक पर्यायवासों के हनन से पक्षियों की संख्या एवं उनकी विविधता पर प्रतिकूल प्रभाव पड़ा है। साथ ही आज की युवा पीढ़ी भी कृत्रिम संसाधनों एवं यंत्रों के प्रभाव में प्रकृति से दूर होती जा रही है। दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय के प्रतिष्ठित कॉलेज PGDAV महाविद्यालय सांदे के प्राचार्य प्रोफेसर R.K. गुप्ता जी के कुशल नेतृत्व एवं मार्गदर्शन में पर्यावरण अध्ययन विभाग, पर्यावरण कमेटी एवं पर्यावरण सोसाइटी सृष्टि ने विहंग नामक एक बर्ड वॉचिंग क्लब की स्थापना की है, जिसका मुख्य उद्देश्य छात्रों को पक्षियों एवं उनकी विविधता और व्यवहार के प्रति जागरूक करना है। विहंग क्लब में छात्रों को आसपास पाए जाने वाले विभिन्न पक्षियों के बारे में बताया जाता है। विहंग में छात्रों का सकारात्मक रुझान एवं प्रतिक्रिया देखने को मिली है। हाल ही में विहंग क्लब ने कॉलेज परिसर तथा दिल्ली के विभिन्न स्थानों जैसे लोधी गार्डन और ओखला बर्ड सैंक्चुरी आदि पर जाकर पक्षियों की प्रजातियों की गणना की तथा उनके व्यवहार का अध्ययन किया। विहंग को श्री सुमित कुमार पक्षी विशेषज्ञ तथा लाइफ मेंबर BNHS का निरंतर सहयोग मिलता है, जिसके लिए विहंग उनका हार्दिक आभार व्यक्त करता है। भविष्य में विहंग पक्षी संरक्षण एवं उनसे संबंधित जागरूकता पर निरंतर कार्य करता रहेगा। इसी आशा के साथ आप सभी का हार्दिक धन्यवाद।
Now, I would like to call Dr. Sanjay Sir, convener IQAC, to enlighten us with his words. Over to you, sir.
मेरी आवाज आ रही है?
जी सर।
On the behalf of IQAC PGDAV Evening College, I welcome Dr. Samir Kumar Sinha, Head of Conservation, Wildlife Trust of India, in this webinar on the occasion of World Wetlands Day 2022. This webinar is on Saras crane, an icon of wetland ecosystem. Would be an eye-opening for all of us. I had the opportunity to visit wetlands of Kaziranga National Park, Assam, Chilka Lake in Odisha, Okhla Bird Sanctuary, Delhi, and several other wetlands in my home state, Bihar. There are several birds like cranes, ducks, waterfowl, raptors, woodcock, etc., and animals like frog, fish, snakes, turtle, etc., which are a part of this wetland ecosystem. Every year, migratory birds of far-flung areas like Siberia, Europe, visit these wetlands in India and make them their breeding ground. So we must preserve these wetlands, both natural and artificial, because wetlands are a part of our ecosystem which enhances biodiversity and ecological health. Dr. Samir Kumar Sinha will enlighten us on this interesting subject. I once again sincerely welcome Dr. Samir Kumar Sinha on the occasion of World Wetlands Day 2022. Over to Nikita.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, I would like to call Dr. Mayank Pandey, sir, convener, Environment Committee, to introduce the speaker to us. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Nikita. It's my privilege to introduce Dr. Samir Kumar Sinha, sir, who is currently working with the Wildlife Trust of India as head of the Conservation Division. Dr. Sinha, sir, has over 20 years of experience in study, research, and action in the field of environment protection, natural resource management, community participation, and wildlife conservation. He has closely worked with the government departments, academic institutions, grassroots level NGOs, and professional organizations, and a team of diverse skill sets for species recovery, participatory management of natural resources, livelihood improvement, rural energy security, and protected area management planning. His area of interest includes to the protected area management planning, participatory wetland conservation, river, forest and grassland ecosystem, air pollution, species recovery through ex situ and in situ linkages, and landscape governance for nature and biodiversity conservation. He has proficiently planned and implemented and monitored conservation action projects such as Valmiki Tiger Reserve Recovery Project in Bihar, Ghadial Recovery in Gandak River, Saras and Wetland Conservation in eastern Uttar Pradesh. He has published more than 100 articles in leading newspapers, periodicals, web publications, and scientific journals on environment, biodiversity, and wildlife conservation. He has been awarded fellowship under the Netherlands Fellowship Program to join an international short course on governance of forest, nature and peoples by Wageningen University, the Netherlands, and Center for International Forestry Research, CIFOR, Bogor, Indonesia. He is the expert member in National Governing Council Green India Mission, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India, member Bihar State Board for Wildlife. He is also the member of several expert committees constituted by the National Tiger Conservation Authority for evaluation of tiger reserve in the country. Also, he is the member of World Commission on Protected Areas, Commission on Ecosystem Management, and Species Survival Commission of the IUCN. I again welcome you, sir, on the behalf of entire PGDAV College evening. Sir, over to you.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank PGDAV College and the principal and all the organizers who have given me the opportunity to talk before my students, especially on the occasion of this World Wetlands Day. This ecosystem is very close to my heart because it is not only an ecosystem that I have studied, but it is one of the ecosystems on which our team has been working in Eastern UP. And this is a fascinating ecosystem, I would say, in terms of carbon sequestration, supporting biodiversity, supporting livelihood. So a very important ecosystem. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to interact with so many brilliant students of the college. Although I have to attend another meeting at 12 o'clock, so I would like to finish it before that. So I may be in hurry a bit, but I'll try not to skip any important point that I want to make before you. So I'll start sharing my screen. Can you see the full screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So greetings to all of you on this World Wetland Day. Today I'll be talking about a very important species of our wetland ecosystem, and it is generally called as the icon of wetlands, especially in the areas where it is distributed or right now, or either it was distributed in the past. So I'll be discussing about this important species and its habitat, which is primarily wetland, but other than that, the species survives in other ecosystems as well, which are more like a wetland ecosystem, like rice paddies and all. So I'll be presenting, basically I have divided my presentation into 2-3 parts. In the first part, I'll be dealing mainly with the crane and the wetlands, about the species and its habitat. Then what are the conservation issues being faced by the species and its habitat as well. And after that, I'll present a case study of our work in Eastern UP. Uh, this I am presenting specially to show that yes, the situations are not good, not doing well. We are not, as a human being, we are not doing good with the wetland ecosystem, but still there are chances to work to revive this ecosystem and revive the population of this important species, which largely depend on wetland ecosystem. So my presentation will be in three parts. So let's start with the Saras crane. So basically there are three subspecies of Saras crane. One is Indian Saras crane. Indian Saras crane is distributed in Indian subcontinent, India, Nepal, and then earlier it was found in Pakistan also, but now it has got locally exterminated from Pakistan. So the second species is Eastern Saras crane, which is found mainly in Southeast Asia, like Myanmar, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, and the third species is Australian Saras crane, which is found only in Australia. So these are the three subspecies of Saras crane. But in India, we will be discussing about. I'll be discussing about this Grus antigon, which is located in, which is distributed in our country. So Saras crane, as the name suggests, it has an origin from the lake itself, because in Sanskrit or Hindi, Saras or Sarasa means lake, and the name of this crane derives from this particular ecosystem. And most of the important habitat of this species, it includes wetlands. So basically the natural wetlands are the key habitat for this species. Perhaps that due to that reason it is called Saras or Saras, and that's why it is regarded as the flagship of species of wetlands. Flagship means the species which are on the front seat when we talk about conservation, and in that when we do something for that species, the other species are also benefited. And it is one of the tallest, not one of the, it is the tallest among all flying birds. Saras crane. This is its speciality, and its height reaches up to 2 meter. Average height is 1.5 meter. And if you see, uh, the life cycle of this Saras crane, right from egg laying up to adulthood, it is distributed in different seasons, and anyone can see if a Saras is present in any area, you can see this entire stages of the life of a crane in that particular area. It means Saras is not a migratory species. It it breeds in the wetland in the same area, and then you'll find the adults also in the same locality. So it is not a migratory species, it is a local resident. And it prefers mainly the open landscapes, wide open mosaic of wetlands and field of wet crops. As you can see in the right photograph, a farmer is, it is basically a wetland which is being used for cultivation of water chestnut, and Saras is occupying that area. Similarly, they are also found in using the rice paddies, rice plant, especially in the areas where we do have flooding system in rice paddy. So Saras uses those rice paddy fields as a nesting site or as a roosting site or foraging site. And most importantly, this is a species which is found mainly outside protected area, because in our country, the protected areas are limited to, mostly they are limited to forested habitats or where there is good green cover. So most of the Saras crane in our country is found outside protected area, means these areas are not legally protected. Of course, few wetlands are under protection regime, but very few of them are inhabited by Saras crane. And the bird makes nest, as you can see, in wetlands. Here is a wetland in the right side, and then in the agricultural land, uh, and on the left photograph. And it is basically a ground nesting bird. It makes a big size nest. It is up to 2 meter in diameter. It is a ground nesting bird, and it remains very close to human habitation. You can see that there is a college and the Saras pair has made its nest in the college campus itself. And here in the right side photograph, you can see the Saras nest is within a wetland which is used by people for cultivation and then fishing. When you look at the nesting sites of the crane, you'll find that more than half of the nests are recorded in wetlands. So wetlands are important for nesting of this species. Apart from that, agriculture fields are also used by Saras crane, but it is 10 to 15%. Sometimes they prefer to make their nest on the boundary of agricultural land and wetland, because agricultural lands are disturbed ecosystem. So wherever there is a transition zone, where there is a suitable place on the margin of agricultural land and wetland, Saras makes their nests. And waterlogged areas are also important nesting site for the species. So nesting is one of the important thing which ensures that a species survives among ourselves, among human beings. It is a versatile bird in terms of when we talk about feeding behavior of the species. So it feeds on the tubers like water chestnut. It feeds on paddy also, rice also. It feeds on insects, lizard, fish, frog, everything. So it is very versatile in selection of its food. At the same time, you can find them feeding on birds' eggs also. Saras, importantly, it is very culturally connected with human society. You must have heard about Valmiki cursing a hunter who had killed a Saras crane. And similarly, in most of the part of its distribution range, it is regarded as a symbol of marital fidelity. Generally, it is considered that Saras pairs for life, and if one of them dies, the other also die. But it is not true. Um, so marital fidelity is definitely there, uh, uh, and in many parts of its distribution range, there is a tradition to see a Saras crane pair by a newly married couple. So whenever a newlywed couple visits a village area just after their marriage, they are allowed to see a pair of Saras crane. So it has a good cultural connect also. And politically also, if you see, it is an important species, like it is a state bird of Uttar Pradesh. Um, so it has been recognized by the political circle also as a representative of ecosystem. And hence, the bird is an icon of wetland ecosystem. It is a generalist species, as I told you, that due to its feeding behavior or selection of habitat for nesting, it is well adapted to human presence. In the last few photographs, you must have seen that most of the Saras cranes are living or making nest in the area where there is human presence. So it is well adapted to human presence, and it is non-elusive. Means it is a tall bird. It is a diurnal bird. It is active throughout the day. It is culturally connected with society as well. But why this species is vulnerable? When you look at the IUCN red list status of the species, you find that the population of Saras crane is going down, and due to this reason, it is categorized as vulnerable. Its habitat has also shrunk. Distribution range has also got reduced. Population is going down. Despite all these things, its connection with the human society, it is a generalist species. Generally the specialist species are not able to cope with the problems happening in the ecosystem. But a generalist species who can depend or who can utilize different type of resources, they are less vulnerable to such problems in ecosystem. But despite all these things, Saras population is going down, and it has got extinct in many countries. The species faces basically four threats. One is habitat shrinkage, then degradation, and poaching. Definitely poaching of not the adult birds, but poaching of chicks, and poaching of eggs is quite common in some parts of the country. And the most important threat to Saras is the reduction in wetlands. So wetlands are getting diminished. When we look at the middle Gangetic plains, the area is about 18 million hectare, uh, uh, in which 58 districts are situated. So just take this middle Gangetic plains as an example. You can see that about more than uh, 58 districts are under the coverage of this middle Gangetic plain, which has lots of wetlands. So you can see the wetland area on the x-axis, and on the y-axis you can find the district. So despite being available wetlands, availability of a good number of wetlands, the species is facing threat in these areas. Why? The main reason is reduction in wetland. I am giving one example from a wetland in Samastipur district in Bihar. You can see uh, during 1994 to 2016, there has been reduction in wetland size by almost 54%, right, during pre-monsoon season. So these three maps shows the wetland extent in pre-monsoon, post-monsoon, and winter season. So the reduction in wetland size, when you compare the size in 1994 with 2016, it is up to 50%, more than 50% in winter and pre-monsoon season. Definitely during monsoon, the wetland spread is quite good. So in post-monsoon season, the reduction shows a little reduction, a little percentage, but in other two seasons, more than 50% of the wetland has got reduced, has got shrunk. The other important wetland is it is the Ramsar site in Bihar, which is known as Kabar Tal. So even in Kabar also, you'll find a reduction in wetland size of the wetland. Here you can see very clearly the red part are aquatic weeds, and the blue parts are the blue region is the aquatic body, is the water body, and you can see the reduction during 88 and 2010. So the major problem happening in the Gangetic plains, or for that matter in other plains also, other river basin also, is shrinkage of wetlands. If you see another example of shrinkage of wetland, it is an example from eastern UP. So you can see in 1972 the number of wetlands in Sravasti and Bahraich district are quite, a large number of wetlands are there, but in 2004 the wetland has got reduced. So in 1972 more than 1,200 square kilometer was under wetland cover, which has got reduced by almost 50% in 2004. So wetland shrinkage is an important issue. Uh, the misplaced land use planning is, basically wetlands are diminishing due to reclamation for other purposes, be it agriculture expansion or human settlement expansion or development of infrastructure, linear infrastructure. And unfortunately, in many states, wetlands are regarded as wastelands. So wetlands are regarded as wastelands, and due to this, uh, government considers that these are wastelands, so we can put these lands under different land uses. And in many instances, it has been recommended by the policy makers to drain out water from wetlands to get more land for agriculture farming, which is not good for wetlands. In this regard, I would like to appreciate the government of Uttar Pradesh, which has clearly given a category to wetlands in their revenue records. Like 6.1, if you see the revenue record of any district or any village of a in Uttar Pradesh, the 6.1 category clearly mentions as wetlands, tal, nahar, or whatever it is. So 6.1 category is under wetland in UP, but it is not true for other other states. And due to here, I have prepared a graphic, so you can see how the wetland land use change affects the wetland agriculture land matrix. So in the here you can see the size of wetland. WL denotes wetland and AG denotes agriculture land. So generally the wetlands, the small wetlands, are connected with large wetlands through a proper natural drainage, and these wetlands are embedded in agriculture system. So wetlands and agriculture lands are a mosaic in a landscape. But when you do agriculture expansion, what happens? You drain out water or you reclaim a part of the wetland to go for dryland farming, and sometimes the wetland water is also used for aquaculture. And while doing aquaculture, what people do, or the governments do, or the contractor do, is they create a small ponds inside the wetland. Here you can see I have denoted it by an oval shape. So it reduces the extent of wetlands due to two reasons. And at the same time, the connectivity between two wetlands, the large wetland and the small wetland in a landscape, it is also disrupted due to agriculture expansion and farming activity. So sometimes other change also takes place in this agriculture landscape. What this change is, you can see the change in cropping pattern. So earlier we had traditional cropping system of rice and wheat, but now in many places the rice has been taken over by other crops like sugar cane or mentha, or other commercial crops, which also increases the area of coverage, because once commercial crop enters into your agricultural landscape, the coverage increases very fast. And uh, due to this effect, you can see the wetlands are reduced in size. And when you are doing aquaculture, we try to introduce species which are not native to that particular wetland or that particular region. Especially in fishery, we introduce other species which sometimes become invasive. And when you do commercial cropping, you give high load of agriculture inputs, and basically it reduces the productivity. Basically, it enhances the productivity of that particular crop, but it ultimately affects the wetland and agricultural land ecosystem, because the drainage from the entire agricultural land goes to the wetlands areas, and in the meantime, you can see the small wetland has got disappeared. And when the size is reduced, the human activity also increases with change in cropping pattern. So when there was rice cultivation, less people were there inside. But now with cultivation of sugarcane, more tractors, then harvester, and lots of human activities happens in wetland ecosystem. And all these causes stress on flora and fauna. And ultimately it leads to decline in population of key species. Sometimes many species get locally exterminated. They get extinct locally. And agriculture intensification has also resulted into input of many agrochemicals, especially the chemical pesticides. Like we studied in eastern UP, and we found high level of butachlor and benfuracort in soil and fish. And these two pesticides, even ethion is another organophosphate insecticide, which is mainly used in Trapa natans cultivation. Trapa is your Sinha. So these pesticides and weedicides are used on Trapa cultivation, and ultimately the residue of these pesticides reaches to the wetland ecosystem through drainage, and it affects the entire ecosystem. Accidental deaths due to electrocution, due to dogs, it is quite common in many areas. We have been working in Eastern UP, and you would surprised to know that during 2016 and 19, in 3 years, we found 19 Saras cranes dying due to electrocution in wetlands, because many of the wetlands, many of the power transmission lines pass through uh, wetland areas, and uh, it often leads to electrocution of Saras crane and other birds. So this is the status of flagship. Uh, uh, this is the distribution, you can say. Distribution, if you see this distribution map of Saras crane. So in 1890, the entire almost more than two-third area of India was occupied by Saras crane, which by 1996 got localized only to few states, Rajasthan, Gujarat, and UP, and in many areas, in other areas, the species has gone locally extinct. So this is the status of a species which is flagship to a particular ecosystem, which is which has got several natural characteristic to survive, but still their number is going down. They are declining in abundance, and their population is going down. It is mainly due to change in land use and destruction of wetlands. So you can imagine what happens to the other wetland fauna which are found in these areas. But still, we do have some success stories also. So here we can see how conservation works in such situations. So I will be giving an outline of conservation action that we have been doing in Eastern UP. So we are implementing a project in 10 districts of Eastern Uttar Pradesh, where wetland are occupying almost 7% of the landscape area, and rice paddies occupies about 33% of the land in these 10 districts. And these 33% rice paddies and 7% wetland provide a habitat to Saras crane. But at the same time, this region has high cropping intensity due to multiple crops uh, in the year. So our main objective was to conserve the species in agriculture land, wetland mosaic outside protected area by involving local communities. Because if you have gone through if you have seen my presentation, most of the time the Saras are occurring outside protected area. It is a common land, whether it is a wetland or a rice paddy. Most of the time the land belongs to people. So it is important to work with them to conserve the species. So our strategies included engaging stakeholders, then create institutions for conservation, and then protect the habitat of the species like the wetlands. So when we talk about stakeholders, here in Eastern UP, we targeted three levels of stakeholder. One was engaging a particular group of the society, that is farmers. We also engaged individuals, and apart from that, we also engaged other stakeholders like government departments, agriculture department, fishery department, Krishi Vigyan Kendra, like that. We worked with 26 grassroots level organizations, which were working with 13,000 families on agriculture development. So we networked with these grassroots level organizations to work with these 13,000 families. And through networking, we reached to women group also. We reached to different farmers groups also. We reached to agriculture scientists and Krishi Vigyan Kendra scientists through networking with these grassroots level organizations. And we communicated the importance of Saras crane by depicting the cycle of the life cycle of Saras crane and cropping cycle in that particular area. You can see this is Kharif season and Rabi season and Jayat season, and then through these illustrations we have depicted the different activities of Saras crane, and at the same time what a farmer does during those seasons. So we tried to connect the farmer and the bird. We developed such communication material. This was made in Hindi and English both, to give conservation message in a simple words through and using appropriate graphics. We engaged individuals. Currently, we do have over 120 grassroots level volunteers based at different wetland sites, and now these volunteers are actively participating in different conservation activities, like they are reporting the Saras death cases also. They ensure that each case is being in each death case, the postmortem of that dead body is done by the government veterinarian. And in all cases, in all such cases, the local forest department is informed and they have to take all appropriate paperwork. We used to train volunteers in monitoring of the bird. We give them training on rescue and first aid to birds who are either poisoned or they got electrocuted sometimes. So we provide them basic skills also. So Saras population monitoring, nest monitoring, and rescue of Saras and other birds are being done by these volunteers. We are also engaging, individual farmers, because most of the times in agricultural landscape, Saras makes nest in someone's farm, and they are very the fidelity, site fidelity is very high. Means a Saras crane will make nest at the same location every year, or maybe a little bit away from the earlier year's site, depending upon the availability of water. So by engaging 35 farmers, we are protecting nest of Saras crane. We are also working with school students and then forest department, agriculture department. At the same time, we have created institutions for Saras committee for Saras conservation and wetland conservation. We do have 20 Saras protection committees and 10 wetland management committees on the ground. This is a village-based organizations, community-based organizations to monitor and to take care of different things. And we try to empower the community-based organizations through leadership training, exposure trips, their registration, holding regular meetings. And this activity is containing for last 8 years. And this result you can see from in 2013, there were 681 Saras crane recorded in that area, which increased up to 2087 in 2019. Definitely in the others in 2021 also the population has gone up, which I am not showing, not shown in this graph. At the same time, nest protection is another activity where Wildlife Trust of India plays very significant role by engaging locals. We do have a system of nest reporting and then nest protection. And through engagement of local farmers, you can see in 2019, we had protected 152 nests, and in the last 6 years, during 2013 to 19, 840 Saras nests were protected with hatching success of, on an average, the hatching success is 90% plus. How we are engaging these farmers? Because 30 to 35 farmers are protecting these Saras nest every year. So what we do, we give them social recognition. We don't pay anything to these farmers. We recognize their contribution. We organize functions at different places, and in each function we provide some certificate and recognition to each farmer, which keep on their motivation level very high. But still, we are facing challenges in the landscape because farmers are more interested towards growing cash crop like sugarcane. Multiple landowners are in wetlands, and hence the objectives are definitely multiple. And there is conflict between landowners and the fisher folk. So a group of society wants aqua farming, but majority of the landowners want dryland farming because they think that dryland farming gives more return to investment as compared to aquaculture farming, but which is not true. So these are the challenges, but we do have strategies to deal with this also. And now the Saras constituency has increased beyond farmers. So we have involved agriculture scientists, Krishi Vigyan Kendra, school students, panchayat, fishery scientists, grassroots level organizations, revenue department, rural women groups. So initially the Saras was known only by the farmer who where they used to make nest. But now through our project, we have tried to involve these different stakeholders, and this is working very fine. And our project is running on. It is still ongoing, and we hope to protect and conserve the key wetlands for Saras in the eastern UP. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for this very informative and interactive presentation. So बहुत अच्छा लगा सर ये presentation देख के. उम्मीद है हमारे बच्चों में कुछ queries, कुछ जिज्ञासा हुई होगी. तो अगर आपकी कोई queries हैं बच्चों तो जल्दी से आप chat box में डाल दीजिए please.
I have 2 minutes only to go for another meeting. So
okay.
Mayank, what you can do if you get questions, queries in your chat box, you can direct it to me through email and I can answer.
No problem, sir. I will, sir. Definitely. मैं कर दूंगा आपको forward, sir. So
in the meantime, you had given me another role, na?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So should I do that?
Yeah, please, sir. Please.
Okay. So friends, I think you had participated in an inter-college competition. It was basically using the waste material to produce something good, something useful. So as informed earlier in the meeting that today the results will be announced. So I am going to announce the results. So the best out of West inter-college competition, there are 3 prizes, first, second, and third. So the third prize goes to Afsana Malik. Second prize goes to Anna Mata, and first prize goes to Chetana. So a big clap for all the 3 winners of this competition. I congratulate all of 3.
Thank you, sir. We all congratulate all the winners and all the participants also for participating in this best out of waste event. So without wasting much time, I would request Dr. Sanjay Kumar sir to give vote of thanks.
On the behalf of IQAC, I sincerely thank Dr. Samir Kumar Sinha, who gave a beautiful and thought-provoking lecture on Saras crane, an icon of wetland ecosystem. His lecture was very informative and eye-opener for our students. Hope you would be benefited by this webinar. I sincerely thank our principal, Professor R.K. Gupta, for his support in organizing these kind of activities. He is a source of inspiration for us. I also thank our young and energetic colleague, Dr. Mayank Pandey, convener of Srishti, an Environment Society of PGDAV Evening College, for organizing this webinar on World Wetlands Day 2022 and establishing a club called Vihang. I am obliged to our colleagues and students of our college for attending this webinar and making it a great success. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So, with your kind permission, can we sum up this session?
हाँ
अगर
हाँ
आपकी permission है, sir. जी. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Samir sir. डॉक्टर मुरारी सर, संजय सर और यहाँ जुड़े हुए सभी एस्टीम्ड फैकल्टी मेंबर्स का मैं हृदय से धन्यवाद ज्ञापित करता हूँ. थैंक यू सर. थैंक यू.